I'm looking up, yeah, because what's going on, Grant? I'm watching somebody actually play Blood Bowl as well. I'm watching a nice match from my boy, the Spider. He's going against Ross T, another good coach. All right, let's get to it, guys. Let's get this done. They can fight it out. Every time you go, that's the perfect spot to do that. You guys are gonna be sitting on standby for the Gale cuts. All right, there's one down. I think. Yep. I knew that was. I smelled it. That screwed me. That bear's dead. See, this is the bullshit I'm talking about. I completely forgot that when he hits her, he's still being protected by the bear. Thus, limit the report, and now he are exposed to the next round. See, so you won. You said I was going to screw up at some point. You said it. This man knows it too damn well, man. So we're battling against the Vargas that's at near full health. The only thing that can really save me now is non-elemental skill, pummel. Yeah, you gotta have faith. If it's a berserker, it's not winning. Even if they tackle their way through the out. Wow. Roasting session on, guys.
Ooh.
You gotta have skilled out saves. How about chain sword? Give us chain sword, please. I'll even take Arsenal. I will. He says Savin always butt cheeks. Oh, boy, you got a thing for terror, do you? Sometimes it will have condemned, the added effect of his attack. Other times it won't. Yeah, that gets randomized as well, Shadow. No, it's fine. I can definitely rock this. Okay, guys, the run's still on. Enough to guess what? You guys are right too. I'm not gonna refute that. The boy with the crack emote. Sorry. Ah! Vargas, we know you're kind. Always trying to get a cheap kill. I got the nail. Yep, Shadow, exactly what happened. You're gonna see that a lot. Saved by the RNG. RNGesus always comes to my aid. There you go, Maritime. I knew you was one of us, man. I know you always appreciate it. Let's move on. These guys got enough reach for this thing. DeVoid, you enjoy your lunch. Thank you for the good game. Should be a little while. Yo, Spoony Mage, how you doing? Yeah, finally it's me, bro.
Searching for repair bay. Error. Navigation systems failed. Unable to comply.
That's new. Gotta put it through its paces, guys. You gotta check to see if it breaks. You gotta check to see if it has road effects. Neo exclusive.
Damage to navigation systems detected. Attempting to return to designated repair bay. Error. Navigation systems failed.
Speed 23 not the best.
Navigation systems have determined this location as Spacer's Choice, designated mechanical repair bay. Attempting to misdirect or confuse a Spacer's Choice mechanical is a punishable offense. Please report yourself to your supervisor.
See if it breaks. My brother said you were black. His words are black lives matter. I told him you're probably Asian with the same message. Yo, your brother crazy, bro. Okay, fire beam. That's funny, man. Oh, they absorb fire. That's good to know. These guys go for auto seizure, but they're good range by absorbing one of the big three. Another of the big three, they're definitely at least spin ice. So they don't like it too much, guys. And this guy, he makes a smart play this time. He knows what he's up to. Really? Confuses people out. And guys, you gotta stand and fight before you leave. You guys already know that. Oh, I guess that will make for some interesting times, wouldn't it? That's actually a pretty interesting scenario we got here. Very interesting, I gotta say.
Attack!
especially my last seed of FF Tactics. Right now, to me, that game can go to hell. I'm telling you, bro. Tactics did me dirty last time I played.
Huh?
Tear them apart!
I am. Figured the guy that oh, damn. I gotta admit, though, I do place this first and Tactics second, but it's a close one. I love them both, man. Oh, man, Graffin, you just get the real raw deal, bro. Raw deal. And speaking of raw deals, this seed's doing me an incredible disservice of having this music in this one little area here. Guys, what do you know about that Spark Mandrill? Mega Man X. This is not tearing the lead. These are the prices. Looks like double priced again. That tonic's been that same price for the last 3 shops. Like, guys, sometimes they gotta learn to let it go. You know what I mean? Wow, Cecil, you hear it in the Figaro Castle basement. I guess so. That's my incentive to get to the World of Ruin to hear this again.
You read the latest report?
Only the part that said we ain't making our quotas.
If only McDevitt's folk hadn't abandoned us. Cannery could use those extra hands.
Nothing we can do about that.
Sure there is. We can have another 0G.
Staying long?
Spacer's Choice takes care of its own.
Sorry, I got a lot to do.
You guys know I can't stand that damn spray.
I don't know you.
Again, I always say Saturn should be on Saturn. I mean the planet. That's where he belongs. Nice, another Phoenix down. They have been very finite in this particular seed. Not too happy about that. Knowing your characters can eat the dust at any moment. And it's Amaro is banning. Alright, and there's that Monopoly music, boys. Guys, don't act like you don't remember Monopoly for the SNES. Do not lie to me about that. I'm shaming him, bub. Huggers, your stepson is a scumbag. I've said it. Now he's gonna show up and get me, isn't he? That got him going. See, Boski, I knew you was I knew you was one of us, man. I know that. It's a fun game. On Xbox, I don't know if it's on PlayStation, but on Xbox, don't they have like Monopoly online and PC? I'm damn near sure they got it. Play against randoms online.
The unreliable, you say?
I might
Never
try
heard
that.
of any company supply ship with that particular name. I don't know what you're about, but this here's a Spacer's Choice drinking establishment. We're all loyal, hard-working company folk here.
Bro, if he popped out, I'll know that you put a hex on him.
Am I that easy to read? Yeah, we've been having some problems lately. Loyalty issues, lines in the sand. I know where folk in Edgewater stand. But you, I don't know you. If you're gonna have a drink, I'd like to ask that you do it within the premises. Can't have you taking drinks over to those deserters.
Have some type of competence and they understand how the game works.
Traitors, the lot of them. Bunch of folks decided they were tired of working and went out into the wilds to fend for their own selves. Town's already struggling to make quotas, even without that band of slackwits abandoning their posts. Bunch of lazy, shiftless rung leeches. Anyway, enough about them. What can I do for you? Do you now? And what makes you think Mr. Thompson wants to talk to you? He's a busy man. You want to talk to Mr. Thompson, try ignoring your duties. He'll summon you up to that great big tower atop the cannery, and you'll get yourself a proper dressing down.
You think I'd be a good DM, huh? I could definitely give it a shot.
It is a good thing.
Dark dungeon.
If you're not pulling your weight, you don't deserve to live here.
Dank dungeon. Oh,
Simple
boy.
as that.
Heard of that before. Dank dungeon.
Go ahead.
Ooh, that's nice. Cuts wind in half. Character friendly. We're not gonna see wind for a while though, as far as I can tell.
I don't see how that's any of your business. You're the first to ask after me in some time. I'll give you that. But I don't have a story to share. My family's worked Spacer's Choice for 2 generations, and I've lived in Edgewater just about all my life. Wanted to work in the sciences once upon a time. Would you believe it? That was a wild fancy. Glad I disabused myself. What happened, you ask? What always happens when you're dreaming. I woke up. I just didn't have the brains for it. Asked too many questions. Wasn't suited to the work. So I did the right thing and worked the life I was always meant to live. Now that I'm behind a bar, I can ask all the questions I want. Important ones. Like, when are you gonna pay your tab? And would you like another round of cold, refreshing 0G?
Bannon, what do you got for us, though? More importantly, please have throw. Please. I'll take throw or second sword take.
Don't talk to me that way, please. Spent many years disabusing myself of that notion. Don't need you putting it back in my head. Lab work ain't for me.
Why?
Never was. Never will be. Spacer's Choice put me where I belong, and for that, I am grateful.
Definitely gonna put that second relic slot to use. He's got a Valiant knife, though, so he's got some barrier-piercing damage.
They did. They gave me a life. Gave me a purpose. This is where I belong.
How do you pronounce that, good lad? Is that Olga Skins? I call you Olga for short. Thank you for joining. I appreciate the follow, and I do hope you enjoy the show.
What's wrong with that? It's good, honest. Unless you're in Byzantium. I hear everything's automated there.
I can mimic
Not that I'll ever find out.
so technically we can get a second
Not so
sword.
fast. I told you about my life. Your turn to tell me about yours.
Tentacle shot,
So,
2 retorts,
what's your
back to back,
story?
deal some serious damage to him. All right. Rage. I have
That
something
right?
for you.
Prove it.
Is that Spark Mandrill, brother? Magi Tech will always do a service. We can actually mimic that. 2 fire beams back to back. That's not too bad. Bannon has items so he can run utility on himself too.
Ah, I know that serial drama. They were playing it just the other night. What was it called? The Last Spacer? You're right. I don't believe you. I'd advise you to keep that story unsaid. Don't want people thinking you're a loon.
Nobody else can equip that? That diamond shield is exclusive to him. Oh, that's Green Beret.
Just gotta keep our heads up.
Can't wear it.
Hmm?
Only one character can wear it. Okay.
Hey,
Sorry, I've got a lot to do. Just gotta keep our...
move along.
You know, those cotton robes we can use to heal as a response to Ultros' multi-target tentacle. We gotta watch out. We gotta defeat him before he gets that single target one on Bannon. That's gonna be a game changer. Bannon's HP's low enough where it might drop.
Sometimes I wonder what I'm doing with myself.
Just the way it goes.
Alright guys, maybe something up here might assist in our quest. Dash tool, that might break for something good. Phoenix down, another one, we'll take it. Not gonna do anything without throw. Antidote.
monkey, Argo?
I'm sorry, Mr. Thompson, sir. You asked why it's taking so long to fix. The answer.
Don't apologize. Just try using small words for me.
The cans bust open in the oven because she's set to cook saltuna, which isn't what we've got. Mr. Thompson, I think there's someone here to see you.
Focus, Miss Holcomb. You and I are still talking. Let's start over. Walk me through the process. Show me where it's going awry.
Well, sure. It's, mostly on account of what we're feeding into the mechanism.
It puts food in cans. We have food, we have cans. Why won't it work like we need?
She's expecting saltuna of a certain size. We're filling the cans with, well, not fish.
Seems we've got a guest. Really now, Parvati, I do wish you'd spoken up. I do apologize. I was given no forewarning of your arrival, or I might have welcomed you at the gates myself. I'm Reed Thompson, Outpost Administrator. I must say, wearing a Marauder's outfit is in very poor taste. I do wish you'd show your uniform a little more respect.
So maybe I should type down the drill. No, it's not the drill, is it? What was it? Flash.
Of course not. I don't have that kind of luck. Seems I allowed my excitement to run away with my wits. Been a few seasons since we've had a visitor pass through.
Only regulator we got is hooked up to the town transformer. Mr. Thompson ain't liable to be keen on dismantling it.
I beg your pardon. I am most emphatically not keen on any such thing. I can't let you have our power regulator. But I happen to know of another one. And I happen to know exactly how you may retrieve it without frying yourself in the process. My proposition benefits the both of us. Please, hear me out. There's a power regulator in the old botanical lab. It's mostly abandoned, so all that power is being squandered. Go down to the geothermal plant. Reroute power from the botanical district over to us. Once their power's shut down, you can have their regulator and be along on your way. I was not entirely sure how to tell you this. The botanical labs are not legally inhabited, but there are people who live there.
So his HP might swell a little bit. I still have him in peril, though, for Ultros's single target.
The people living in the botanical labs, they're deserters, former workers. I need them back at their posts. I need them to come home. Good Lord, no, I don't want you killing anyone, least of all them. My hope is that by cutting off their power, you will convince those deserters to come back to town. Before you go to the plant, I want you to stop by the botanical lab. Speak to their leader, Adelaide. Tell her the power's about to go, and that it's time her band of deserters came back to town. Adelaide's older than the other deserters. She's dignified. Kindly. From what I understand, her camp looks to her for leadership. That is not a hypothetical I enjoy entertaining. We need Adelaide back. Nonetheless, I will settle for the return of her followers. We belong to one community, the Spacer's Choice family. If we dissolve into factions, then we will all perish separately. Adelaide will understand that.
My dad told me all about the plant. Taught me all he knew. I could come in useful. I mean, if that's all right with you, Mr. Thompson. Sir.
I hesitate to part ways with Miss Holcomb, but I cannot deny that she is talented and may prove useful to you. You will need an administrative passcode in order to enter the plant. I am trusting you with mine, and trusting Miss Holcomb to guide you if you'd like.
Great! I got my wrenches and diagnosticators and hairpins and engine tape, so I'm all set.
Well, I am glad to hear that. Best of luck to you, and thank you again for your help. It is a lot to ask of a stranger, I know.
We better clear out of Mr. Thompson's office before we talk. We better clear out of Mr. Thompson's office before we talk. Hey, mister, can we talk? Sorry. Got a sec? Sorry. You just want to get out of here. And you likely don't want to tag along like me. It's just, Mr. Thompson has his own view on matters, on account of it's his job and what all, but that's not the only side of the tale.
I'm watching my boy play Blood Bowl, and he's not having a good time. He lost 2 pieces.
Oh, he ain't a liar. He believes every word he says. It's just, he doesn't always get where other folk are talking from. To Mr. Thompson, a person's a gear. It does its job quiet-like. If it squeaks or stutters, it gets replaced. The deserters are decent folk. I knew some of them before they left.
Even that person knew.
Miss McDevitt? Oh, gosh, no. She was a real important person. A flavorist. Made all the food taste decent. She used to work up in the big office with Mr. Thompson. All I know is she left after her son died. It was a real big to-do. I could hear them both yelling clear from my own place. Can't say as I know. I wasn't there. The sound carried, but not the words. If Mr. Thompson ain't of a mind to tell you his own self, you'd best ask Miss McDevitt, if you can get out to her. I don't know anybody well. I mostly listened to them talk, kept my head down. There was a boy named Thomas who used to follow me around, asking questions about the stuff I fixed. He was real sweet to me. Not any sort of dissident. Life's hard here, especially for them that don't fit in so well. We're one big Spacer's Choice family, but every family's got the one the rest whisper about. Mr. Thompson's aiming to take away their power. They'll have no lights to see, nor heat to cook. They'll be at the mercy of marauders, or worse. I think you should talk to the town's vicar about it. Max, his name is. About if what Mr. Thompson proposes to do is upright. Leaving Miss McDevitt's folk to their fate. Their neighbors. Kin. And maybe he can think of something else to try. Something we ain't. He used to go walking outside town. Maybe he found something that'll help. It's just an idea. That's all. Thanks, mister. I just think when you gotta make a decision that'll hurt somebody, it's best to think on the right and wrong of it. That's what my dad used to say anyways.
This is not what I like going into the next battle. Drain like attack with auto float, we'll take it. Guys, a special called Snore Baton. It makes kind of sense too, man, because batons are really tough, man. You ever get hit with one of those, you're probably going to be snoozing. So I'm not lying about the nature of the attack. I wouldn't personally know anything about that. Change me... Is that change me what the fuck? Yo! Change me WTF. Welcome, man. How you doing? I'm glad you joined the stream. I'm glad you followed me. I appreciate that. Just enjoy the show, good lad. Kick back, enjoy the show. Yes, a lot of us, share that same passion you do. And we've all congregated into Beyond Chaos. I probably want to heal before we get there. Heal Bannon I don't even know if Bandit's here. Gotta say, guys, I'm not liking how this is heading out. That tonic won't kill him. Alright, good. He's gonna escape. Hey, no, quick. When you get the airship, you gotta say the story while you're flying. Oh, the one where the women and children have to leave the room because it's about to get messy? You guys actually want me to say that? Well, it makes sense because you guys didn't physically see me say that. You just heard me. Alright, I can do that for you. I can do that for you, boys. Alright, Ultros, this ain't looking good. I don't see what this does to them. Is it worth mimicking? Nope. Nope. Okay, that's gonna be attack on terror. So we're gonna have to revive him now, fam. That did a lot of damage. You might want to respond to that with that. Cecil, I gotta take that counter, bub. I gotta eat that, bub. That's not a problem. The fight's gonna be over regardless of which side wins by that time. It's not enough damage though, man. I gotta admit. I think I need to start mimicking retort. Okay, so their hero Sabin taking damage. Yeah, that's gonna hurt, man. Especially when he doubles up on Bannon. Okay, there's the multi-target one. Got a retort in place. That was the attack on Bannon. You might want to heal force him up. Gotta keep Bannon in good shape. Boy, he's sticking around, bro. I don't know how he's doing that. Okay, he's gonna drop some guys this time around, I think. That's for Bannon only? Bannon only tentacle? Yeah? We were ready for it. We were waiting on it. We were waiting on it, bub. There's gonna be another multi-target tentacle coming out. How the hell are you still alive, bro? Let's just waste this, I guess.
Where are we headed?
I think the fact that I'm falling back on the healing's gonna get me.
That's on account of how I never met her.
She can't take another one. She's got a dispatch. She can't take another one of those hits. This is going the distance, man. I don't like it. Bro, the man is still kicking. I want to mimic that. I want to mimic that dispatch. We got 7 seconds to get this out of here.
She was in another division of the Spacer's Choice family.
Please, get the kill.
She worked in the Vale a few months, sorting the cannery computers. Her contract said any kids she had, expected or not, belonged to her office from the time of conception.
That is garbage.
So when I was born, I got sent here.
Fucked me over. You guys know it. Oh, that's what that was? Okay. It's funny because it came right after that, so I thought it was like a response to that damage. Quick, just looking for excuses.
Could be. Reckon I'll never know.
I tell you guys, I mean, we didn't really have the offense, to be honest.
Something you need?
I hit him with the hardest stuff we had to offer, and that was retort, and that really wasn't doing much to me. Play Texas then. That's good. That's a good one. Helmet, rims. You know taxes taking a break today, bro. You already know what's going to happen.
I've always felt weird in here.
I
It's
should
too
have done that.
clean.
Yeah, because we'd have got double the damage out of it with two guys performing it.
Yes, what is it?
Tentacle kept showing up. It's
You're an
guaranteed to show up.
outsider.
So I should have taken
Fantastic.
advantage of it.
Vicar Maximilian de Soto at your service. Or Vicar Max if you're the sort who prefers brevity. And Ms. Holcomb as well.
I did say that. I
How
said
rare
the
to see you out.
battle's over,
And
regardless
with a
of,
complete
where the
stranger.
timer's gonna be at. It's gonna be over
Curious.
before it expires.
Just tagging along,
Definitely
Vicar
wasn't
DeSoto.
the timer caused
Don't
the
mind
run.
me.
I so rarely get new people to talk to. Name your poison, anything at all. Spiritual counseling, this season's tossball predictions, the quickest way out of town.
We didn't see yet, and spell teaching we didn't happen upon yet. Bro, stupid, man. I'm talking dumb. Also note that this is 19 seasons since World of Moon. Can't forget about that, guys. Can we? I'd like to forget about it.
What? I thought you would talk to him.
You wanted to speak to me, Ms. Holcomb? Every time I've tried to engage you in conversation, you look at the floor, answer in single words, and slink away. I can't imagine what would be so grave as to drive her to my mission. What has Mr. Thompson asked you to do?
Yo, Oron Joke, how you doing, bro? Thank you for the good luck. Even though I just got my ass whooped, I'm gonna get back in there, all right?
Depriving them of safety from the marauders and wildlife. I can see why that troubles you.
What you up to, brother?
Miss Holcomb has a soft heart. Always has, if you believe the talk.
I don't know, that might raise some complications, bro.
They rejected the order of society and live beyond the walls so thoughtfully provided by our Spacer's Choice patrons. Does that strike you as a responsible life choice?
C-Sly should have that counter up there, shouldn't I, publicly? To let the guys know my
Assuming your goal is to save as many as possible, then you should bring everyone together. Send the power to Edgewater and convince the deserters to return to the fold.
okay. That beer. Get that beer, fellas. He says the next one is the one. Somebody was telling me, Oron, that
Not if things are left to stand as they are.
saying that before.
If you don't mind a bit of unsolicited advice, be cautious on your way to the geothermal plant. It is not as safe as you might assume. One of the reasons I transferred here was to fulfill my duty in hunting down banned heretical texts. I happen to know such a book is, as we speak, tainting a collector's library in Emerald Vale. However, the collector's residence lies outside the town's walls. My retrieval efforts have been thwarted by marauders who have overrun the property. Should you fare better than me, I'd pay a handsome sum for the book.
Which one is it?
It's a handwritten journal, a faded blue cover with the name M. Bakonu handwritten in the lower corner. I'll mark where I saw it on your map. Assuming you're serious? I just want to keep the writing out of layman's hands. It wouldn't do for such information to fall into public consumption.
Look like my lady soldier, we saw that. Strago, Esperterra, fight. It looks like Demi Bolt. It could be Bolt, Bolt 2, Bolt 3, Bolt Beam, Bolt Edge. Am I missing one?
It is not only a beautiful relic of a bygone time, it's also the thoughts of an early thinker on the nature of man's place in the cosmos. Not many in this colony could understand its true value, should they ever read it.
I normally know these on the spot.
Thank you. If you retrieve it, you can always find me here.
Good call on that. Confused item. Sets look like Orochimaru. Again, one of my sprites. Fight, ordeal, magic item. Mario fight, dance, magic item. Look like no. Gao at fight.
Yeah, huh?
Phantasm and could be Snowball. It says
You mean about the mission being too clean?
magic item. Go-Go looked like one of my guys. Obi.
I know, but Vicar says the universe is a machine, that it runs by law. Real machines have gunked up oil. scratches, and worn bits. You can tell they've seen handling, been used by folk. The machine Vickers sees is one ain't never been run. It's not for people to live in. It's something on a museum shelf, under glass.
Was my sister, my friend who basically is my brother, so I might as well say that. I mean, his kids call me Uncle Mark, so yeah. So basically, my sister, my brother, and then his wife, and they all dressed up. Both of them dressed up as where
The Vicar's about the only soul in the Vale who spends his time thinking on what is and ain't right. It's just that when he looks at me, I feel I'd disappoint him.
There were a lot of people that were not dressed up in there, all right? So I didn't feel too bad. It was kind of like half and half. I usually dress up because, like, for the past 4 parties I've been to, I've been something. I've shown you something on Discord. I was what was I? Not the Grim Reaper, was I? I was that one time, yeah. I was also Jack the Ripper. Who else was I as well? I was also a vampire at one point. You guys seeing a trend here? You seeing a little trend going on? Yeah. This year I just couldn't be bothered with it. Who would you dress up as? I win it myself, boys. This mug is definitely good for scaring the kids away, isn't it? Somebody even approached me and said, you know, that's a good costume, Marcus. I'm like, oh, well, thanks. I worked on it. I worked on it for 33 years. Yo, Voorhees! I should have went Jason. All you gotta do is get the mask and get like a battered jacket and all that. Get a little plastic machete. That would have been a good idea, I admit. Just a clown on the streets. Wow, L. Clark Kent. He likes getting those little jabs in amongst the commotion with the rest of the crowd. As I'm focused on you guys and what you're saying, he'll slip one in there. You know what I mean? He'll throw a little tiny wrench in the works. Session is in session, boys. Here we go with the roasting session. Let's see the commands. It was Missling Warp, Demi, and the regular Bolt spell. Phantom. Okay, so it wasn't Phantasm, it was Phantom and Snowball. What else we got here? Dances. Anything crazy? A lot of guys I see get desperation attacks. I see them get like broken stuff. Right? I don't know if it was a dance or something else, but I remember Muppet. He had a dance that had the 7 out of 16 is the more likely of everything. It's the most common, obviously, of the dance skills. He had media as his dance. That was disgusting. See, this is what I'm talking about. Windsong. 7 out of 16 Monk, 6 out of 16 Shadow Fang, 2 out of 16 Landslide, and then 1 out of 16 Ice Rabbit. This is a heavily, heavily offensive skill set. What I'd like for you, comment once again.
Where are we headed?
Guys, the Breakables. We had 3 Indestructibles, and holy God, look at the length of this list. Guys, we got a lot to unpack here. What? They can have the same skill in there? That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Easy.
Yo, Breakables, check this out. We're starting off at the top. Man-Eater, Broken Dispel. Excalibur, Flag. Artisan, Door 3. Imperial, Rods, Vanilla. Aegis Shield, Palador. All the shields, Vanilla level 3 Element, Deceptive Thunder Shield. Built to medium. Force Shield, Exo, Mythic Helm, Siren, Tiara, Stray, Indestructible. I could have got that Boasting pack. Gold Helmet, Vanish. Circle, Reflect, Circle, Reflect. Cotton Robe, Pure, Pumpkin Seed, Rolling, Silk Robe. Force Armor, Ultimate. Guys, that's probably like half the list. Snow Muffler, Quick, Noise Blaster, Float, Bio Blaster, Scanning, Flash, Bolt, Chainsaw, Stop, Ability, Osmo, Drill, Sleep, Air Anchor, Bolt 2, Indestructible. Saw would have been immediate in move 1. He'd have been cradling that air anchor like a newborn baby. Alright, let's move on from that. Auto Crossbow, 6.
Bet I could fix him up smart.
Searching for repair bay. Error. Navigation systems failed. Unable to comply.
I could probably fix that. I mean, if you wanted me to.
The longest break list I've ever seen. This is my dream right here. You guys know how much I hunt for breakable items. Spell teaching, not as interesting.
Yep, I see the problem. His nav mod got dislodged. Must have taken a tumble. Just gotta give it a good push and wait for the click. There we go. Jeremy's good as new. Well, new by Spacer's Choice standards anyhow. His name's Jeremy, by the by.
Navigation systems operational. Optimal path toward repair bay detected. Initiating self-diagnostics.
Let's see how much HP. So there he is, the first one, level 13.
I don't reckon Jeremy understands the concept of trade.
Spacer's Choice reminds all colonists that serving the Spacer's Choice family is the highest possible reward. I have been programmed to deliver this pre-approved message.
I got another seed, guys, pending. And even if that one falls, I might have some.
Be more careful out there, Jeremy.
Is the bot really here? Yeah, okay, it is here.
Bring us honor, soldier. You beat that scout to scrap with its own legs? Pulled its optic cables out its head case? Actually, don't tell me. Rather use my imagination. You're a passing fair soldier, I will confess. But you are one, and the enemy is legion. What you need is an equalizer, a weapon to strike fear in their cold, mechanical hearts. Cantina, lavatory, behind one of the toilets. That's where I've kept it hidden all these years. Sharp, ain't it? The lavatory is the very last place a mechanical has need to enter. On the double, soldier. Don't want the bartender poking around in there with a mop.
I don't think we were anywhere close to killing him. Alright guys, that sheet's down. Let's get rid of it. Let's get another one. We see more plumbing. We see more stuff here. Sadistic guys that you are. I know you guys, man.
Wonder if the plague's ever gonna pass.
You're not a big drinker, are you?
This one kind of sums up how you feel about these particular randos recently.
That was quick.
Hey guys, decent tracks gone already. Unfortunate, but we still must press on. The show must go on. Now let's hope we don't get that bad battle music that you guys don't like. M-Dot, there's a certain tune that he doesn't like. His Calibrations has a certain tune that he don't like. And let's hope these don't, let's hope they don't show up. I took that group out. I don't want them boys trying to kill me. You guys will actively look for me if I put that back in there, I can tell. Yeah, if it has a whistle in it, boys, Excalibrations ain't too pleased about it. Cracker Jack still SR. It might come out, hopefully. He said no. Okay, so we got a powder blue soldier here with the Realm as backup. She's already got some HP boosting equipment. That tells me it's got to be the Green Beret. That's a slight boost. Not really a lot, fellas. Green Beret, Mirage Vest, Ice Rod, Wedge, the Drainer, Crystal Shield, Tiara, Diamond Armor, no relic in the first slot, running shoes in the second. I gotta take this stuff off and see what we got. Nothing good about it. It might break or something. You guys know I was about.
Bring us honor, soldier.
Oh, nice. That's a good start. Fight, GUA, more
Feast your eyes, soldier. This here is a genuine Spacer's Choice injury customizing unit, designed to deliver a lethal blast of electrical discharge. I call it the Hand of the Law. You ever want to see a mechanical flailing around like a grounded fish? You stick a couple thousand volts in its guts. With compliments from old Ludwig.
Gigavolt, boys. In Terrace.
There's a workbench right through this door. Attach that unit to your favorite weapon and go forth into glorious battle. Time's come for you to journey down into the black heart of the enemy's camp. I'm talking about the old geothermal plant. Unfortunately, the old plant lies outside my board-given jurisdiction. You'll need to get a passcode from the boss, Reed Thompson. I need you to get us the brain of a mechanical. Well, not exactly a brain. Anatomically speaking, what we're looking for is a logic module. There's the rub. If a mechanical breaks down, the logic module fries. So you can't rip one out of its corpse. You're going to have to find an intact model somehow.
I don't reckon so. I work with gears and pistons and such. Stuff you can put hands to. Computers and mechanical brains are outside my ken.
You know, she names the mechanicals she fixes. Calls them Bess and Clancy and so on. Keep a careful eye on her. Could be a sympathizer. Don't tell anyone, all right? I've got a contact. A real expert in the inner workings of the automaton. We are going to rip those mechanical secrets right out of their circuits. Well, excuse me. What I meant was I'm going to get a contact. I didn't know I had to be all prissy about my grammar around you. If you die horribly, I will pour out a can of 0G to your memory. Go on.
Yeah, huh?
Guys, something's gotta give at some point, man. Like with these
In the
randomizers,
bar?
bro.
When I asked if you were a drinker? Sorry. I know, it's none of my business. Strong drink makes me sick. And it makes me real sad.
If it
I
comes
start
down
thinking
to
about
that,
things I
I'd
oughtn't,
go
and then...
glove to glove.
Well, never mind that.
You know what?
You
I
got
do not
better
mess with
things
that with
to
some of
think
these
on.
monsters, like
Sorry.
Hades Geigas? Hades Gigas? He reminds me of Bald Bull. With hair.
I'm
Pretty
sorry,
much.
I shouldn't have said anything.
And yo, I used to have nightmares about that dude, yo. I used to be
Something you
terrified
need?
when I first started playing Punch Out. I'm like, yo, this dude is massive, bro. Free Saturn. Yeah, Hades Geigas gotta bring the I Geigas. Mag I Tech. Geiger. This is Super Mario RPG. It's when you're racing up Booster Hill, trying to